let's go over property types. So in a residential community, there are many, like countless different types of builds or structure types, but they're all considered residential properties. And we're going to go over a couple of the common layouts that you'll see, but also I'm just going to go through history and show you how things have changed. Now, one thing I want you to keep in mind when we go through this lesson is East Coast, we're talking about United States of America, East Coast of United States of America has the oldest properties. The further we go out west, it has the newest. If you think about this over history, it's because America was founded on the East Coast and then people ventured out towards the west. Areas like Phoenix, Arizona, those areas, they're very new, right? Surprisingly new. For instance, if we look at Phoenix, Arizona, when it was founded, it was 141 years old. So essentially settled in 1867 versus North Carolina, which is 1789. So almost a century difference there. Now, overall, let's talk about the housing. So on the East Coast of the United States, it is not uncommon to find houses that are over 100 years old. And that's what I'm trying to convey to you. This is because the East Coast has a longer history and more established cities. So there are more older houses in the region. In contrast, the West Coast is a relatively newer region with a shorter history. So it is less common to find houses that are over 100 years old. However, it is important to note that the age of the house does not necessarily reflect its quality or value. Many older houses on the East Coast have been well maintained and renovated many times and may just be as desirable as new houses on the West Coast. Similarly, new houses on the West Coast may have been built with newer, more modern materials and techniques, which can make them more attractive to buyers. Let's continue down and look. So we got Salt Box, 1607 to early 1700s. I myself haven't really seen any of these homes that are still livable. Most of these are tear downs. I see them and you'll see like the tops are already caved in. They're just sitting on a piece of land out in the country or rural area. And then you got the monetary. These are 2 stories. These you definitely still see, this is plantations, things like that, where it has the double wraparound porch on top of it. And then you've got the national. This is probably one of the most common houses types in the area on the East Coast, North Carolina, Tennessee, all this, because they're just small houses and you're going to be looking at a lot of them in the 1900s. Let's go to the next page and we can see, what is that, Creole? I'm really unfamiliar. Shotgun houses. This one is interesting because they're actually coming back. Like a lot of people are actually building new shotgun houses because it takes less land. And essentially what a shotgun house means is you walk through the door and you continue walking and it's just like room and room and room. So it's like a hallway on one side and like all the bedrooms are on the other. And you just go from one end of the house to the other. Then we got Colonial residential styles. This is a very popular style home. You'll see a lot of these. Neoclassical, the Georgian, 1700s, 1780s, Federal. Definitely see a lot of these, a lot of brick. Greek rival, not so much. Victorian, you see a few of these, especially farther up northeast. These are very, very common. And you kind of just read through these. Like I'm just going to hit on the ones that I know you need to know about. This prairie red here, this is actually kind of coming back. They can call it modern nowadays, like it's a modern design, but essentially like that's what they're building. Kind of more of a square shapes. Craftsman house, very popular. Tudor houses are very popular as well. And ranch style home. And you see the dates on this, right? 1930s to 1960s. Like this is a very, very popular home. You'll see a lot of these 1-story ranches, and that's what it essentially means, right? Sprawling, single-story, wide fade, front-facing garage, low-pitched roof. It's just kind of like a flat, long house. But ranch-type housing are very desirable. A lot of times people will pop the top and go up on these, especially to add more square footage. Your split level, this is really common as well, split levels. And split levels, there's something to be noted here. So for instance, you walk into this one, you see the garage on the right. Well, you're going to go into this first room. And this first room, because it's below the grade, which means it's technically like half in the basement, half out of the basement, because you can see the window, right? But you can see that it's probably like 2-3 feet below the actual foundation, like the surface, right? The first level. And because it is below grade, the square footage on appraisal the appraiser will actually give it a discounted square foot price, meaning that the first level and the second story up here, their square foot price will be a full price. So like whatever the comparables are that they find to figure out like, well, this is how much this home should sell for per square foot. Well, the below grade right here, because it's in the below the ground, right? So if you walk outside and you see the grass, because it's below that grade, any portion of it, it's going to be discounted because they consider it like a basement. It is finished, right? So it's like a finished basement and it's half out, half in. Maybe we'll jump into this later if we start running into issues. Just reach out and let me know. But split levels, just know that if it is, a 2,000 square foot split level, well, we need to know how many of those square feet are below grade, because that would be a discount. All right, over here on the right, we got Cape Cod. There's your Victorian, again with your ranch, craftsman, colonial, Georgian, Tudor. So overall, this is a residential property. You can see there's many types. The construction and everything shifts and changes for climate reasons as you change your geographical area. So anytime you change a market and you start looking at properties in a different market that's up under a totally different climate, you really need to look in there and contact maybe a contractor or a home inspector and ask about common things that you would want to ask about, such as if you go down south in Florida, they have hurricanes. Well, there's a whole nother question there that you really need to ask about every property reference hurricanes. In the certain areas too, you have termites versus other areas where you don't have termite issues. There's here where we're at in North Carolina, there's split levels, which is the below grade thing. There's a lot of nuances that you really need to know and understand. And the best way to do that is contact real estate agents who are in the area, home inspectors, contractors, and ask those questions. And just tell them that you're looking to get educated on the market.